Hi there, Dr. Rajiv Iyer here with more secrets on how you can be successful as an international medical graduate doctor in the USA. Here, I'm going to tell you the top reasons why US visa gets rejected and give you some tips so you become successful with your visa application. And let's do this together. I got on a phone call with IMGs who previously had their US visa rejected. I actually did make some notes as to what they thought was the common reason for their visa rejection. So they did clarify that lack of communication, lack of ability to clearly explain why they are going to the USA and the importance of them coming back is what led to their visa rejection. So let me explain this to you and give you an example. Let's say you're applying for your visitor visa, which is called a B1, B2 visa. You fill your application, which is DS 160, you submit your application, and then you book an interview. You go to your US consulate for your US visa interview. This can be a very stressful situation. Let's say you're going to the USA for a conference to present a research paper. When the officer asks you, what is your purpose of visit? You just answer, conference. That's it. Now, here, the officer gave you an opportunity to explain more about yourself. The officer already knows you're going for a conference. They have gone through your application. This is exactly what lack of communication means. Are you getting my point? Now, this is how you should approach this. You should explain what your background is, where you did your medical training, where you did your PG training if you have already done it. And then you explain how excited you are about this research that you're going to present in whichever conference it is and whatever city it is in the USA. Do mention that. If you're speaking about a problem or a disease that is relevant to the US population, you can even say how significant it is for the US population and how your research, your presentation is going to benefit at the conference where most audience will be from the US. You make this connection with the visa officer because from a visa officer perspective, they have a simple decision to make. They are either going to give you a visa or you're rejected. But imagine what happens once you're rejected. If you apply again, they already know you had one rejection. So your application will be scrutinized even further. And every time it gets rejected, it gets harder and harder. So the first shot is always the best shot. You should keep this in mind. When you're speaking to the visa officer, you make this very clear. I was explaining all this to another IMG who was about to apply for a US visa. And she tells me, sir, this is all easy for you to say. Well, trust me, I started my US journey with a B1, B2. I then moved to H1B. So I completely understand the process. The other thing you should keep in mind is what is called as Section 214B. When you think from a visa officer perspective, they have a feeling that every visa applicant has an intent to immigrate. Meaning, they just apply for a visitor visa, but ultimately they want to come and settle in the US. So you have to convince them that is not the case. And your intent is actually go back to your home country once you visit the USA. Now, let's say you transition to J1, H1B, that's a different story in the future. But for the purpose of getting a visitor visa, your intent should be clearly visit, go back to your home country. How do you convince the visa officer? Here are some of the things you should say. You should talk about the close home ties. For example, you may have family in your home country. This might be your parents, your spouse, your children, and you should talk about them and tell them how important it is for you to come back to them. You should mention about your job, which is so important, which is one of the other reasons that you would be coming back to your home country. The other thing is all about your bank accounts. Speak about the money you have in your home country. So all this indicates that you have strong ties with your home country and you actually will come back to your home country after visiting the USA. You realize how important all this is. Now, I have a question to you. Have you already applied? Or are you applying for a US visa? Just answer plain yes or no in the comments below. So don't stress the visa officer. Make sure you talk to them nicely, politely, and very clearly. You may have an outstanding CV. You might be from an excellent college, but if you don't speak properly in front of the US visa officer, your visa will get rejected. But on the other hand, someone else may not have an excellent CV, but if they have an excellent communication skills, they will have their visa approved. Is this making sense now? Remember, your goal is very simple. You need to get the visa. That's it, right? The other common thing happens to be not properly filling your US visa application. So make sure you read it thoroughly, fill all the information correctly and appropriately so you don't leave any ambiguity or any questions in your application, and the US visa officer who is reading this is pretty clear about your intentions of going to the USA. Now, if you look online, there are many other reasons why US visa get rejected, but these don't seem to be a common reason for IMGs, so I'm not going to touch on that. Now that you know how to apply for US visa application and be successful, when you visit the US, make sure you make the most of your visit. How you can do this? Try to find an observership when you're visiting the USA so you can make your CV stronger when you apply for positions in the USA or Canada. This is going to help you. Now, I have a video exactly for that. I have left the examples of top 10 reputed universities in the USA that are offering clinical observerships right now. I also have left the links for these institutions. Do check this out. I do have to tell you, the IMGs who actually had their US visa rejected are now very successful in Canada and Australia. So, at the end of the day, if you continue to have your US visa rejection, don't feel bad. There are a lot of other options for you in order to be successful. Here is a huge disclosure I want to make. I'm not an immigration attorney. I say all this based on my experience as an IMG and also the other IMGs I speak to and I know of. Talk to a professional if you need any immigration advice. And also remember, each person's individual circumstances vary. I hope you learned something new today on how you can be successful with your US visa application and not get your US visa denied. Any questions, post in the comments below. I try to get back to you as soon as possible. Take care, stay safe. I will talk to you soon. This is because you might be visiting the USA. So you make this connection with the US visa. You make this connection with the visa officer.